Looks like we made it! That's right, we made it to Fortopia. Kudos to all of you who made it this far. Welcome to the third and final episode where we've tried to build a game library for the SNES Classic. So far we've talked about the Classic, the multiplayers, and now it's all the rest. Yeah, I know, not the most exciting title, but after doing 3 of these, all of them start to sound the same. So let's just get on with it. Don't forget to keep your eyes open for the fake fact. Congratulations, Justin Jargon, for knowing that Pilot Wings is not a multiplayer game. I really thought more people would have known that. But with that out of the way, I'm your host, 24 Kevin, here for 24 Kevintendo, and here's 10 games that should be on the SNES Classic, the threequel. Number 10, Secret of Mana. Full disclosure, be ready to see a lot of RPGs on this list, and what better way to start than with my personal favorite. Secret of Mana is the sequel to Final Fantasy Adventure, better known to Europeans as Mystic Quest. This game ditches the turn-based combat Final Fantasy is known for, and allows the player to attack freely with a wide range of weapons and magic, all of which can be leveled up individually. The game even makes use of the multi-tap and allows up to 3 players to take control of a party member each. The story is great, the battling mechanics are top-notch, and with no shortage of boss battles, Secret will keep you on the edge of your seat for hours on end. Number 9, Secret of Evermore. Another RPG developed by Squaresoft, Secret of Evermore was the only game developed by their designers in North America, hence the Western settings. The game follows a boy and his dog as they travel through 4 different dimensions, all with different time periods. The game has a similar battle mechanic to Secret of Mana, but doesn't use MP. Instead, you must use ingredients to create different potions through recipes taught to you throughout the game. Although the game can be quite difficult and exceptionally challenging at some points, the storyline and shape-shifting doggo more than make up for it. Number 8, Mickey Mania, the timeless adventure of Mickey Mouse. I know this game probably isn't going to be on everybody's list. Heck, I had a hard time not putting a Super Star Wars game on the list. But Disney games had such a huge presence on the SNES, I felt I had to put at least one of them on here. And before you start, yes, I know that Star Wars is owned by Disney, but it wasn't at this point, so it doesn't count. Mickey Mania followed Mickey Mouse as he took a trip down memory lane, going through 6 different levels that are homages to his earlier cartoons. Complete all the levels and then in traditional Mario fashion, face off with the big bad Pete in order to complete the game. The game wasn't very long, as it only took roughly an hour to complete, but it's still a fun, challenging game that will take you on a nice nostalgia trip. Number 7, Earthbound. Of course I was gonna include NES's breakout hit. The only reason it wasn't in the classic section is because it fits so well with the other RPGs on the list. I was very surprised when they didn't include the original on the NES Classic, but putting this on the SNES Classic would more than make up for it. Developed by HAL Laboratories, this RPG had the player taking on the role of Ness, or whoever you wanted to name him, and his friends Paula, Jeff, and Pooh. Yes, his name really was Pooh, while wielding psychic abilities known as Psy. Although the beginning of the game is quite challenging, with Ness being the lone party member, and severely underpowered at that, it involves quite a bit of grinding. The player's resolve to play on will be rewarded with one of the most beautifully bizarre storylines ever created. Number 6, Harvest Moon. Probably the most different game on this list, the Farming Simulator RPG was the first game in the Harvest Moon franchise that would span over 40 games, and is showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon. The original Farmville has the player taking over their father's farm after he disappeared. Decide if your time is best spent farming, raising livestock, fishing, or foraging. Or if that's just not for you, just go kick your feet up and hang out at the local bar. Manage your time wisely, survive disasters, and marry the woman of your dreams as you have a wonderful escape from reality. Harvest Moon would provide the player the option to enjoy a nice relaxing experience after a day of slaughtering monsters. Number 5, Final Fantasy III. Also known as Final Fantasy VI in Japan, this was the final installment of the franchise on the SNES and was of epic proportions. The game touts having 14 playable characters, the most in any of the games in the main series, and even had secondary characters that were able to be used periodically throughout the tale. The game changed the medieval theme that the last few iterations established and took on a steampunk vibe instead. The game keeps you on a fairly linear path for the first half of the story before becoming relatively open world, giving the player the opportunity to select whichever path of the storyline they decide to follow. With Final Fantasy appearing on the NES Classic, one can only hope that Nintendo will continue with this tradition. Number 4, Megaman X. The series takes place approximately 100 years in the future after the original Mega Man series, where Dr. Light has sealed away one of his greatest achievements, X, a robot that can fully make his own decisions, only to be discovered by Dr. Kane in the future. X aids Dr. Kane in creating Reploids, robots with the same ability to feel as X, but some robots rebel and start a war to exterminate the human race. X is then forced to team up with Zero in a classic Mega Man fashion as the team fights their way through this challenging platformer in order to destroy the evil Sigma and his army of Mavericks. Mega Man X improves on the graphics, sound, and overall quality of gameplay of its predecessors. And although some criticized it for being too easy, there's no doubt this game reinvented the Mega Man genre for generations of gamers to come. Number 3, Street Fighter II Turbo Edition. Arguably one of, if not the best fighting games of all time, Super Street Fighter II Turbo Edition has been on many consoles since its inception, and is being released for the Nintendo Switch in late May with added game modes and fighters. Seems like a perfect advertising opportunity for those who don't have the Switch. Use Mario Kart 8 as an example. The Wii U version is great and I love it, but even with the minimal additions to the Switch version, it still looks like it could be a completely new experience with the added features that I'm going to have to buy it. By this logic, releasing Street Fighter II on the SNES Classic could cause users to have those nostalgic feelings and want more out of the game, which in turn could cause them to invest in the Nintendo Switch. Plus, it's Street Fighter II. That should be enough of a reason right there. Number 2, Chrono Trigger. Widely regarded as one of the best RPGs of all time, Chrono Trigger follows Chrono and his band of misfits as they travel through time trying to save the future of their world. Chrono Trigger pulled off a feat that even games nowadays have trouble accomplishing, giving the player true control over how they progress through the story. The player can complete as many storyline aspects as they want before advancing to the final boss at their own leisure, and depending on how much you've completed, will be rewarded with one of 14 different endings. I don't want to describe anything else in the game because if you haven't experienced the game yet, then do it. I don't care how, just do it. And trust me when I say, Chrono Trigger truly stands the test of time. Time travel puns. And the final game that needs to be on the SNES Classic Mini is Super Metroid. Not gonna lie, I put this last on the list to give Metroid fans a little bit of an anxiety attack. Don't worry, Metroid fans, I definitely haven't forgotten about you. Released in 1993, Super Metroid takes place after Metroid 2: Return of Samus. Samus is drawn to Ceri's research lab after receiving a distress call. There, she appears just in time to see Ridley destroying all of the space scientists and stealing a Metroid larva that had imprinted on her earlier. There's not much else to say about the game. If you're a fan of the original Metroid, this game just took everything that made it great and made it even better. They upped the graphics, introduced new weapons, including the grapple cannon and the screw attack, while also increasing the overall map size. And although this game came a little too late in the SNES lifecycle for its sales numbers to reflect the response it's elicited from gamers, the developers can take solace knowing that they created a truly amazing piece of art. And that's the end of the list, ladies and gentlemen. That's all 30 games in the SNES Classic. Leave a comment down below and let me know what games you'd put on the list instead. I know a lot of you won't pick Mickey Mania, and some of you will take probably a couple other games off this list, but let me know what your guys' favorite are in the comment section down below and what games you think you were missing. For everyone here at 24KevinTendo, I'm your host, 24Kevin. I gotta go though. I gotta go play some of these games. I'm missing playing them now, getting all nostalgic and everything. See y'all next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!